When did you graduate from college and what was your major?
I graduated in 2009. I double majored in comparative literature and Chinese.
Awesome. I just had Nancy Rabinowitz last semester, she was
Oh my God, yes.
fantastic. Yep. And I was over here. I was on campus over the summer, so I was here for alumni weekend and I kind of snuck into the complet dinner, and it was like actually a really nice dinner just because they're going on sabbatical now, and it was the last year of like the complet major. I don't know if you've heard that, but we're technically no longer offering the complet major. Now it's kind of just
Ooh, so I have like an antique or super like rare degree now.
exactly. She had like this really nice dinner with all of the alums, so it was nice. I snuck in there just because I was on campus and she likes me, which is really an honor, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah, Chinese. That's really
she's
cool.
fun.
Okay, what campus organizations were you a part of? What extracurricular activities did you engage in while a student at Hamilton? What clubs were you in?
Oh God. It was like all in a whole bunch of like small things, or just for like a little bit. Was it the Asian Cultural Society? I was a part of that. So I did the mentoring on Sundays. Um, oh, I'm a posse scholar. So, um, God, yeah, no, I don't really know if I really did anything.
That's okay. I just joined student assembly because I was a little worried that I wasn't involved enough, but then I got really involved. It's just kind of the two extremes. So,
Yeah, no, I mean that's great. I was on a mission when I got to college, so I was like, no, I don't really want to do any extracurriculars or clubs. I'm good on that. Like I had my posse, and uh, we just did our thing too.
yeah,
That's fun.
awesome. Were you out while a student at Hamilton College?
Yeah, I've been out since I was 13.
Okay. Yeah, the next question is, are you out now? Um, okay. While you were a student at Hamilton, what was the climate like for LGBTQIA students?
It was mostly good. Like I really don't remember too much like shit happening with. I mean, like anytime there are a bunch of heterosexual males together, there's that like breeding ground of testosterone and like bravado, and so
Right.
it becomes like ultra like hetero. Um, so like sometimes you would hear someone like say fag or faggot or like whatever, but um, there were a lot of openly gay guys and girls on campus, and a lot of closeted ones too. But yeah, it wasn't bad.
What was um I don't know what year the Rainbow Alliance started, but I'm assuming it's been there for a little while. Was that around?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
active was Rainbow? Do you remember?
I mean, as active as it could be with the amount of people that it had and the resources available to it would be the most active way of describing it. But they did have events and like do things and have meetings, but yeah.
Okay, because I feel like they have a pretty big presence now, or I think it's growing even since my freshman year. So I was just curious. Yeah, and we have a new dean of students who's been very vocal about working with students and talking to students. So it's a good sign Terry Martinez. She I like her. So fingers crossed.
Oh, good. I'm fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay. What did you face any personal hardships connected to your LGBTQI identity while a student at Hamilton College?
Not while I was a student at Hamilton College, no.
Um, what was the most difficult part of being LGBTQIA at Hamilton College?
Most difficult thing. I mean, I guess like the community is small, so like you're known or like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The community was just so small,
Mm-hmm.
so it was just like incestuous. Like who slept at home, and like I was in a relationship, so like throughout college, from freshman year through senior, so I didn't really get tied up into that, but yeah, it was just like a small community, and yeah, that was pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Was your partner from Hamilton as well?
No.
No.
No, I feel like that would be a little too weird. It would also have narrowed it down to like, I don't know, like 7 people. So, like, no, thank you, but yeah.
Right. What was the best part of being LGBTQIA at Hamilton College?
Getting to like burn bras with drunk women and just do like really like I love women. I have 2 older sisters and like my mother. Like I'm just used to hanging out with women. Mm-hmm. So it was just like kind of fun to be I guess just as like intimate with another woman without it being like sexual, but still hanging out with like guys and just that receptibility. I guess it's fun being gay sometimes, especially at parties. People are like, "Yeah, drink," and then you dance inappropriately with someone, but you both know it's totally non-sexual, but you're just like enjoying yourselves, and yeah, it was fun.
Was that at like annex parties?
Annex parties, house parties. Oh, yeah. That was fun.
Okay. So you mentioned not having any personal hardships at Hamilton. Could you elaborate a little bit on the personal hardships that you've had outside of or after Hamilton? I guess it's been, whatever you're willing to share.
So when I was 17, so my senior year of high school, I was gay bashed. And so I ended up it was me and my then boyfriend who got jumped by like, it was like 7 guys, something like that. And so like I had like my face dragged across the concrete, so like I like took off layers of my skin on like the right side of my face, and there was like a chunk out of my knee, and like my hands were fucked up. I had a black eye, a busted lip. Yeah, so like that was a hardship that was caused by being gay. Yeah. That's rough. And then there have been like there was this really funny instance when and like it's funny because ever since that, like now I'm like, oh no, fuck no, I take no bullshit. regarding my sexuality. So, like, here in Seattle, this happened probably about a year ago. I scheduled an Uber, and it was arriving, but it was on the other side of the street. And so I was like, okay, this is like right after work, so I'm still like in my suit or whatever. And I crossed the street, and I'm just doing like little light jog. And this guy's like, "Oh, are you fucking serious? So gay!" Like looking at me, and I looked at him, and I always have this one thing that's like spring loaded to like shoot back at people,
right?
And they're just like, "What?" And I look at him and I go, "Fuck you, cocksucking tranny fucker." And he was just like, "What?" And I was like, "Fuck you, you cocksucking tranny fucker." And then he tried to like go off, and I'm like, no. Shut the fuck up. You're ignorant ass. Like, who the fuck was even talking to you? Like, go suck a dick. Get the fuck out my face. And then I got into the cab, and my driver ended up being this lesbian Persian woman, and who had like heard what had happened, and she's like, "I'm so glad that you said something to him, because like I haven't seen like too many instances of that in Seattle, and like I'm so glad you said something, because there's this culture out here of non-confrontation."
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't have time for that bullshit. I'm from Boston. Like, no, we're shutting it down. I mean, and there are like instances of that, but yeah, especially homeless people. Some homeless people get malady.
Interesting.
Yeah. And sorry, there's a huge homelessness problem in Seattle as well, and I live right next to a park which is across the street from a soup kitchen, which is like 2 blocks away from a place where they can like shower and do laundry, and then there's a library where they can hang out too. So they are like overrunning at least my area of the neighborhood. So, not that I'm sorry, that was just a color.
No.
Me not saying anything bad about homeless people, but that's just something that I've experienced because of this demographic. Next question.
Right. Well, I was gonna ask how that experience at 17 kind of shaped you which I guess you kind of answered, but kind of shaped how you identified, not identified, but how you presented yourself in college, if that had, or what kind of effect did that have? Does that kind of make sense? Like you were a senior and then, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just had like 0 fucks to give. So it's like if something like that were to happen again, I was totally prepared to like beat the shit out of somebody. So for me, it kind of made me a little bit more confident, but I was also like, I feel like it was different because I was in a long-term relationship. So for me, it's like I wasn't trying to, I don't know, like the sense of like, I was already comfortable, so I just simply carried on. Like I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anyone about like anything. Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't
know. Okay, thank you. So, the next question is, did you engage in any campus activism for the LGBTQIA community while a student at Hamilton College? If so, what kind of activities did you create or participate in? Which is kind of like connected to the rainbow question. I don't know what other, clubs and activities were present.
Yeah, no, I was boring and pretty much kept to myself.
Did you engage in any kind of activism off campus while still a student?
No, I'm really bad
No.
Sorry. No, I'm not an activist. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Um, okay, what? hmm, Okay, so these are the general questions, which I guess are mostly like post grad, like post Hamilton. Um,
Okay.
so the first one is um, what impact did coming out slash and or being LGBTQIA have in your work life?
Um, so like in my current work life, it's actually pretty much in all my work life, there just are gay men. I work in property management, and there are just a shit ton of gay men who work in the industry. So, and like specifically leasing, it's a good chance that if you have a male leasing person, that he's a homosexual. So it's um, it's never really been an issue. And before that, I worked in like the education realm. I did before and after school childcare, and then for a little bit, I was a middle school teacher in Boston, and then a preschool teacher out here in Seattle. So it's like in the education realm, you also do have like gay men. So it's not really really hasn't done anything for me. It's pretty common.
Interesting. Okay. Um, what impact did coming out and or being LGBTQIA have in your family life?
Oh, that was just a shitstorm.
Oh
So, so my dad's military, and so my dad is phenotypically black,
no.
and then my mom is, I guess, slightly racially ambiguous, but she identifies as Puerto Rican. Uh, and so both Roman Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and then my father became like born again after he came back from living in Seoul, Korea for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my dad took it kind of to the extreme because being black and gay, he told me, was two strikes against me in life. Mm. So being black, a male, and gay were, the three strikes against me in life. And so basically I was just making my life more difficult because clearly we all go through a phase when we're like confused and attracted to like the same sex. So it's funny because I'm like, are you trying to tell me something? You're younger, and like you went through a phase of homosexual attraction to like one of your friends or like a teacher, right, or someone's dad, or like what's really under here. So like when I came out, he sent me to a psychiatrist because, well, clearly this was a like psychiatric disorder, or something that was really the result of some suppressed whatever. And I met with the shrink, and we like chatted for like a half hour, 45 minutes, and he's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. Like, I think you just like you came out to your dad and he's kind of just freaking out, but there's nothing psychologically wrong with you. Like, you seem perfectly rational. You're just probably gay. So, so just kind of go with it. Like, I'm going to tell your dad there's nothing wrong with you, but like, yeah, you're perfectly fine. So, but yeah, for my father too, homosexuality and pedophilia came hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So my sister gave birth to my first nephew when I was 15, until she was 18. And like by the time I was like a senior, he was, like 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and my father like told my older sister that I shouldn't be left alone with them because, like, basically I might molest them. And my sister's like, "Are you insane?" She's like, "Tyrone is gay. He's not a pedophile.
Right.
Like, those are two different things." And I think it took a while for my dad to not think the same way.
Right.
And we ended up having a conversation probably about like a year or two ago where he revealed sexual abuse by a priest. So,
wow.
So he was, for him, because it was a homosexual interaction that was done with a grown man, it was also pedophilia. So for him, he coupled the two of them. That was a really fun conversation.
Right. Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, so he's gotten better, but I initially didn't speak to my father for, I think it was maybe 10 years, really. Like, I talked to him when he came to my graduation at Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't talk to him again until, like 28. Like, my father didn't have my phone number the entire time from when I graduated college until like a year or two ago.
Was that a conversation that sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, was that a conversation that you had initiated or that he had reached out to you about?
It was, what happened? So my sister went a little nuts, like 2 years ago. And so I took my nephew in from Boston, and he was 13 at the time, and he came to live with us because my sister was going through a bad time, I guess. And it was like around that time that my father called me because he had asked my sister for my number, but she was like, if you were supposed to have his number, you would have it, but I'm going to like contact him and ask if it's okay to give him like your number. Which I told her was fine. So he ended up calling me, and it was interesting because he was telling me how like proud or like surprised he was by the fact that like I was willing to take in my nephew while she was in her space. And then it just ended up like ripping off scabs and, saying our bits and pieces to each other. And then, so like now we've been like texting off and on, but he said that his greatest fear was that I would like resent him. And, we had this, huge heart to heart. But
wow.
It was a result of that conversation.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
This is still like on your family life, but did you feel like you had a support system within your family? Like you talked about like your sister being like, no, they're two different things.
So because my father was in the military, he was not really around as often as other people's dads are around.
Mm-hmm.
So I had more of like a uterine family. So like my mom was my point of contact, and then like I had my sisters, which I mean, kids are just vicious. Kids are assholes. So growing up, my sisters were absolute bitches. But no, they really were. They were terrible, and we were terrible to each other because, like I said, kids are assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So they did tease me growing up, but we have gotten like and still are, like really close. And like my mom was the more supportive of, my parents. Mm-hmm. Like my sisters have been fantastic after, you reach that age where you're like, oh, we're all old enough to know that like Tyrone is gay. And so we should definitely stop using, derogatory slurs when we get angry at each other as kids, because that actually is an ignorant term. And so, we just call each other out for being assholes instead of anything else. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like you had a similar support system, or even a different support system at Hamilton while you were here?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm a Posse scholar. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with the Posse scholarship program.
I'm friends with a bunch of the Posse scholars, and I'm a HEOP student.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I had that network, and then they made friends who, we made friends with, and they were all chill with gay people. I mean, like I said, I didn't have an unpleasant experience because of my sexuality at Hamilton.
Okay, cool. This is another impact question, but it's related to your spiritual life. How did it impact your spiritual life?
So, like I said, I was raised Roman Catholic, and Christianity doesn't really jive with that. Or at least my family's interpretation. My partner actually has an advanced degree in theology and teaches at a private Catholic high school right now. Theology, he's the head of the theology department. So it's interesting because we've had conversations about it, and reading Sodom and Gomorrah, and like what the text means and how it has to be interpreted based off of its actual placement, like in the Bible, because the Bible is like intentionally designed, and like if you look at this, then it means this, and then it's just interesting because my father did not have the depth of understanding of the text, so for him it was like a sin, and to, I guess, be a part of a religion that has that like discrimination or hatred written into it, or just kind of like disapproval written into it, I was just like, well, that doesn't really jive with me. So I feel like, I'm not religious. I turned to being more spiritual. I mean, because there are some pretty basic rules. You don't have to belong to a religion to live by, that is basically like, don't be an asshole, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't murder, don't rape, don't sabotage, don't be a jerk. Like, we're all here together, so don't be a jerk.
Right. So, I mean, right.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, so I think I became the person in spite of Roman Catholicism. But, just because of my sexuality, I feel like that turned it. But it's also like my sisters, it's funny because we're all Roman Catholic, and we grew up going to church every single Sunday. And we don't call it church, we call it Mass. And, we would discuss the homily afterwards. And at one point, my father was having us doing, like, Bible study, too, at home on Sundays, which was miserable. And we also went to catechism, or CCD. I don't know if you're religious or Roman Catholic familiar, but...
yeah, my mom also raised us Roman Catholic as well. She's Dominican, and my dad's Puerto Rican.
Okay. But yeah, I just... caused me to not follow, I guess, an organized religion, but to follow more a system of beliefs that are like personal, but at the same time they're like Judeo-Christian just because of my background. So yeah,
cool.
Right, that was a lot.
No, that's okay. That's perfect. Okay, the next question is a little more general, I suppose. What are some of the biggest challenges facing the LGBTQIA community today, in your opinion?
Trump, I would have to say, would be a huge one. The Republican Party.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous that it's 2017 and the shit that has to be protested.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's just it's ridiculous. So people still fighting like whether or not a bakery can refuse to make a gay person's cake. It's like it's stupid shit like this where like it's not even recognized in all 50 states like as a form of discrimination if it's for sexual orientation or transgender or anything. It's we're not fully protected, so it's like feeling like a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
Not having full citizenship. I guess that's the biggest thing facing LGBTQ people. QIA. We keep on adding letters.
Yeah. This is our formal term.
They're like we need to like scramble them so that they make some sort of word.
Some
like, eventually it's tailgate. Tailgate people because we've added so many different letters.
Speaking of that, what do you think of the rising use of the word queer to kind of, I guess, as a solution that some people have kind of turned to?
So, I'm aware that sexuality and gender and all of that stuff exists on a spectrum. I guess to me, like, I studied language basically when I was there. I also took linguistics. I studied ancient Greek and Latin and Spanish and Japanese while I was there.
Cool.
So yeah, I could have had a classics major or a classics minor at least. But of course you can't double major and minor. So yeah. But anyway, so to me, the root of the word means like weird or strange or odd. And I just personally don't like that. But then at the same time, it's like, well, taking back the meaning of the word, which, okay, I get that too, but it's almost like you don't really have your shit figured out kind of designation or potentially, but also know that it can be used like in a political kind of sense. So,
right.
I mean, I don't really care if someone uses it. It doesn't like bother me, but I probably also don't fully understand what it means. But I just don't like the word queer, personally.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that we had talked about when we were thinking about these questions, like our interview questions, and someone was like, do we really have to say this a million times? Like, can we just say queer? And then we were like, oh, like that is actually very much like it feels like everyone says it, because like everyone I know says it, like everyone in my, like, well, not my grade, but like I think it feels very generational. And we were talking about, again, like the age span of the interviews too.
Like growing up, like queer could still be used as an insult. It's just like the controversial word nigger. Like I use the word when talking about it, but I would never use the word in like a derogatory way, because my father, being black, he was like, he did believe that they were niggers, because he said that, like, for him, that word meant something different. And it meant someone who was ignorant, who was lazy, who, was just, like a buffoon and like subhuman. And he's like, I'm not a nigger, even though some people would think, based off of his skin color, that that would be an appropriate word. So it's just like, if someone were to try to take that word back, for me, yeah, you could call me queer. I would find that word offensive, even if you are trying to use it in a positive way. It's just, for me, it's always been used as an insult. So if someone were to refer to me as queer, I would immediately correct them that I'm not queer, I'm gay, or yeah. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other thing is that I actually don't remember queer being used as an insult when I was growing up. Like, I remember like faggot was a classic, but like I don't remember, like, I don't have any distinct memories of like hearing anyone being called queer, or like anyone saying, like, you whisper things, or like seeing that written anywhere.
So for me, that's something that we would hear our like grandparents or like uncles or people say. And so I feel like I probably caught the tail end of it,
right?
Of it being like used by people in common language. But like, as kids, you repeat the shit that you hear your parents and your elders say. So, that was also used like in school or by my sisters, or, just like random kids, like, oh, you little fucking queer, or like, oh, you're so queer, Yeah. And of course, that word's like phased out as all of those people have died.
Right. And that I mean,
a little crash.
I mean, it's like kind of dead. Yeah. No. Well, anyway, so there was some ad-libbing there, but the next question is, there are only a few more.
No, you're good.
Is there anything we missed, or anything else you want to add to this interview?
No. What is this being used for, though? I didn't even actually think to ask. I was just like, oh, oral history, why not? I'll do that.
Excuse me. So primarily, Professor Barry's trying to create an archive of these oral histories of LGBTQIA students at Hamilton and their experiences at Hamilton, but also, I think that's also still tied to your life experience outside of Hamilton. But additionally, this is going to go on. This is technically our class project, but it's gonna be part of our syllabus for the next maybe 3 or 4 years, is I think what she mentioned. So we're gonna keep trying getting alum, and then eventually it could be published into an article or a book Professor Barry was mentioning. So it's like being published is kind of one of the goals, like publishing this information, and also just kind of having it here at Hamilton. So it'll always be here, like it'll be archived, but it'll just kind of be here. We'll have it here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you investigating how race ties into it? Just out of curiosity. Not to make everything about race.
Playing the race card.
But I'm brown. Right. I'm going
to ask. It's not explicitly, no. We're asking. There's no restrictions as of right now. I think she's just looking at. We're just collecting data as of right now. There's no restrictions on from who, other than you have to be LGBTQ and a Hamilton alum.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks. Just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious.
Well, do you think that there was anything specific that was kind of connected, or I guess kind of affected by both being, a man of color and a homosexual man at Hamilton?
Well, it's interesting because there is a certain type of what is it, fetishization.
Mm.
You're either like really not their type or like super their type, just because the demographic of Hamilton is predominantly white.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this, I don't know, like even if that's why I was like, oh, thank God I'm in a relationship. But that like, well, who's attractive? Well, because most of the gay guys are like white, then like those are the ones that are like almost like the the type that you would want to hook up with or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that like I know affected things, but then there was the whole gay people of color all having their own little sex thing that was going on there. So no, that's it though.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Have a great day. Have fun with your dog.
Thanks, you too. Thanks, bye.